This should be unique. A lot of you know me. I'm Mike Baker. I'm founder of The Sedated Man. I'm actually shooting my YouTube video now, but I wanted to multi-platform. Unless you have a Mevo, it's a big pain in the butt. Let me just tell you, if you could see what I'm looking at with my camera setup, I got a live feed going on my iPad for Facebook. I got a live feed going on my Instagram with my phone, and then my camera is right above that, recording for my YouTube. So if I say something here later today that you want to revisit, you can go to my YouTube channel, the Sedated Man YouTube channel, and you can rehear that. So I wanted to multitask. Can't afford a Mevo yet. Mevo would make this super simple. I just set it up and it would just do the whole thing. If you have questions about anything I'm talking about today, you can reach me at mike@thesededman.com, or you can message me obviously through either of these platforms. But I thought I'd kill 3 birds with 1 stone today. If you've got questions on live, I can't really see your questions from where I'm at. I see a couple of waves, so hello to everybody, but my glasses are not that sharp anymore, so if you've got questions, I apologize. Just email them to me. So this part of the Sedated Man. Sedated Man has to do with, obviously, men in sedation and bringing them out of sedation back into empowerment within their congregations and their family. However, health has a lot to do with that. So my YouTube channel is dedicated to my health issues and quite honestly, whatever health issues the rest of you may have. Now, some of you are thinking that it better be tea because you've been following me and you know that I gave up coffee. I did give up coffee. This is one of the things I wanted to cover. It's called Teccino, and it's Teccino. If you've contemplated giving up coffee, and you have any kind of adrenal problems, anything like that, another wave, hi, then I would suggest that you do so. The first 3 days, like I said, probably in the last video, the first 3 days of knocking off caffeine were brutal. In fact, I only remember parts of them because caffeine withdrawal is a real thing. I mean, you can look it up and it'll tell you all the symptoms for it. But the Teccino is a coffee, I don't want to say substitute, but it's there for people who are trying to kick coffee. It's not a tea. It's got chicory root and some other things in it, and I really like it. I do still use Bulletproof Coffee's Brain Octane Oil because remember, I've got adrenal issues, and so I'm foggy a lot of the time, and I need something to help me in the morning. The Brain Octane Oil helps me a lot. I put a tablespoon in each one. We have a Cuisinart blender that I blend. I make my wife's Bulletproof Coffee with the blender because she has ghee in her first cup. But I will put the Bulletproof Brain Octane Oil in mine. I'll stir it, and it makes a considerable difference in my morning, at least, before the fatigue really hits me again. But that was Teccino again. It's Teccino. And the Brain Octane Oil you can obviously get off bulletproof.com. I may eventually do an affiliate link to there, but I think you can probably find it. Okay, so updates. It's been a couple weeks since I've done any updates. The whole idea behind this, once again, is I want you to understand I'm sharing my health issues with you because I don't share anything with anybody, and I understand that there are other guys and gals out there like me who are suffering from the same things. Just to give you an example, I ran across a former soldier of mine who I served with in Iraq. She has symptoms that are almost identical to mine, and we only shared the same space, whether it be in the chow hall or in the office building we were in Iraq, which was an old Iraqi base. The reason I say that is hers are more extreme than mine, and she is half my age, and she's got a couple of kids, and fatigue can cripple you. I mean, absolutely cripple you, especially when you got rugrats hanging off you all day long. So I want to share my stuff so that you know what I've been trying, so that maybe you're on the fence about some of these things. You know, I'm not a new age guy, but I'm willing to look at the science on some of this stuff. So just to start with, I did go to my very first ever acupuncture appointment. Very interesting experience, a little odd. I'm not really the type that does, the acupuncture bit, but I did read the science on it. I did look at what it has done, the things that it's helped other people with. I can say that I could feel something going on while I was doing it. I don't like needles. She had probably half of the needles in my back before I realized she was putting needles in, because I thought she was just finding pressure points in. So I asked her, when are you gonna start putting the needles in? She said, I've got half the needles in already. I was like, that's a score. If I can do this and I don't have to feel like I'm getting a shot every time you put a needle in me, it's all good. The other thing about it is, yes, it's going to be a little strange if you have been on the fence about doing it. It's going to push some of your limits as far as, I don't know, but how you feel afterwards is no joke. Did it fix all of my fatigue and everything? Well, it was one acupuncture session. You can't expect after years of adrenal fatigue or years of whatever health issue you're dealing with to go and have it fixed in 1 or 2 times. It's just not going to happen. It's just like marriage. You can't have a crappy marriage for 10 years and think that 2 or 3 date nights is going to fix that. It just doesn't happen. You got to be willing to give it a few. So I have more scheduled. I did notice a difference. So it's hard to explain. I was a little more clear. My energy was, I was really tired when I left there, and she warned me I would, and I'll tell you up front, drink water. Drink water, drink water. I drink roughly 120 to 150 ounces a day. The rule is 1 ounce per 2 pounds of body weight. That might seem like a lot of water to you, but once you've been drinking that much consistently, your body wants it. Trust me. And the whole going to the bathroom every 5 minutes, that will last about the first week. Your body will adapt and you won't have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes anymore. It will just, it naturally needs that much water. You will get used to it. So acupuncture, been a positive, big positive so far. I've been taking Metagenics from my chiropractor, a multivitamin, and an adaptogen that's supposed to help with adrenals. This last week, my fatigue and my brain fog has dipped to a pretty good low. I mean, I seem pretty awake right now. I just got up not too long ago. I've had a couple of cups of my Ticino. I've had brain octane oil, so I'm a little more clear now than I will be. When I hit about 2 or 3 o'clock is when I really have a problem. Although I'm tired up till then, that's when I really dip. But this last week has really been a dip. I do understand that on the biology part of it, or the physiology, when you are depleted in certain vitamins, if you start taking a vitamin, your body will just absorb it right away, and because it's so depleted, it will actually drain you before it builds you back up. That could be what happened, and I don't know for a fact, but what I do know is since I started taking this multivitamin, anyway, I'm lucky if I remember my name when I get up. However, my chiropractor is an awesome guy. My back feels tremendously better. I was having some problems with it, and not due to injury. Couldn't figure out what was going on. He's been adjusting me. I have some degenerative discs. Yeah, age, blah, blah, blah. However, he told me it was still totally fixable. Not the degenerative part, but the fact that I could get back to 100% and just make sure that I'm watching those things. I am still on a plant-based diet. I explained the difference between plant-based and vegan last time, so go back to that video on my YouTube channel and you can see that. I actually really like it. I'm surprised. I've been a huge meat eater for God knows how long. I love meat. I don't have a problem with it, but I knew that I needed to baseline is what I call it, which meant I needed to get right to the bottom of the diet so that nothing I was eating, that I knew for a fact nothing I was eating was what was causing any of my issues, so my diet's very clean. My cheat now is like French fries, and I only do that 1 meal a week. And I know some of you are rolling your eyes, Mike, why do you cheat at all? Well, remember, I somewhat suffer from food addiction too. Since I was a kid, that's how I regulate that, is being able to look forward to that one thing, okay? And the nice thing is now, if I want to eat something, I don't have to worry about it. I did start losing weight again. There are other parts of me outside of my energy and my sleep and basically my brain fog that feel considerably better. Just not those parts. I'm still doing intermittent fasting on the days that I don't lift. I still lift weights 3 times a week. My wife has noticed, and you guys might think this is weird, but I want you to notice if you have animals. My dog, within the last couple weeks, comes and sits at my feet a lot. Now, a lot of you are like, yeah, my dog does that too. No, some dogs are a little more sensitive. Some people are a little more sensitive. When you're really struggling with something, a dog, if it loves you, will gravitate towards you. And we've always noticed that about Rocky, my Jack Russell. I've really been struggling with my energy, and sure enough, he will come and sit next to me now, and he will sit there until I'm feeling better, and then he will, once I start feeling better after so many days, or if I'm sick or whatnot, he'll move back to his spot where he likes to lay. Watch that kind of stuff. It's not a joke. If you find your dog hanging around you a lot, you might want to start he might be picking up on something you're not picking up on. Cats, I don't know. I know a lot of you probably love cats. I don't love cats. So it's my dog. So the next thing I'm going to try is somatic trauma release. I don't know a lot about it. Excuse me. I know that they've used it with a number of soldiers. As you know, I was a soldier. I recently retired from 24 years in the National Guard. I was told the first deployment that I had PTSD, but that I had it from when I was a kid, and that Iraq seriously inflamed it. The VA's response to the counselor saying I had PTSD, you'll love this. This literally said this in the letter. Counselor says I have PTSD since I was a kid, and Iraq was a serious inflammation of that, kind of like a muscle, and whatnot. So VA sends me a letter that same year when I got back and says, we don't believe you have PTSD, we believe you were just angry that you were in Iraq. And that is literally what the letter said. So with that, soldiers carry a lot of tension. Former soldiers carry a lot of tension. Retired soldiers carry a lot of tension. Somatic, I want to make sure I'm saying it right, somatic trauma release is a technique apparently that helps release a lot of that tension we carry. I was also, I don't think I've mentioned this before, I also went to basic training in Fort McClellan, Alabama. Now, which is right outside Anniston. If you want to see something very interesting, Monsanto, okay, what does this have to do with everything? I'm getting to it. Monsanto is in the same area. They were dumping PCBs into the ground, plus the chemical corps of the Army was there. Now, I went to basic training in 1992, 4 solid months MP training. The base was open from 45 to 99. The city of Anniston collected a $700 million reward from a lawsuit they had against Monsanto for dumping stuff into the water. That money was paid out at the exclusion of the base. So there are a number of soldiers who lived there, who were stationed there, who went to basic training there. It was a huge basic training base for a long time, and did all kinds of other things, who have all of these issues, amongst them chronic fatigue. Now, I'm not saying that's what I have. It's a hard thing to get a doctor to tell you that you have, because the government has really been pushing back. They don't want to acknowledge that Fort McClellan happened that way. So I do know that, why am I looking at all these weird things, and why don't I just get a medication? Medications are Band-Aids. And if you think anything else, you're wrong, okay? Do the research. Do the research. Do the research. I'm not knocking anybody for their opinion. I've done the research. Medications are a Band-Aid. I don't want a Band-Aid. I want to feel better. And I 110% believe that I can get back to where I was. So what does all this have to do? One other thing. What does all this have to do with the sedated man? If your health isn't right, it makes your choices way harder to make. Doesn't mean you can't make them. Doesn't mean they're not yours to make. It means it's difficult. If you're putting foods in your body that are not productive for your body, they're not productive for your brain process, and they're going to make you just tired. And I'll tell you, any of you guys who are tired, you lay there and you're like, I just don't want to get up. You should get up. You should do this. You should do that. But you're just tired. Just tired. You don't want to think about anything. It all just make it go away, One last thing. I've been doing a lot of grounding, and you can Google this. Grounding simply is walking bare feet in my yard. Now, there is a science to it. Your magnetic field does interact with the Earth's magnetic field, and it does reduce inflammation. It does help joint movement. It does help with a number of things, and I try and get outside and do that as much as I can. Now, I live in a northern state, so I can't always do that. Why? Because it's Montana, and sometimes there's 3 feet of snow on the ground. However, one day I'm going somewhere tropical. If you ever wonder why you feel better in the tropics, it's because normally you have your shoes off, you're on the beach, you're in the water, and those are all things that have to do with grounding and are good for the body. Okay, there's a reason tropical island populations typically have longer lifespans. You can look that up too. So the whole idea behind this is to help you on the health side so that you can make good choices on the choice side. So with that, I'm going to end this one. I appreciate all you guys watching, all you guys listening. You can find me on anchor.fm with my podcast, The Sedated Man, on iTunes, on Google, and like a half a dozen other podcast platforms I didn't even know existed before I started podcasting. I'm going in to do another podcast here as soon as I'm done with this. You can find me on YouTube, on The Sedated Man, on Facebook, obviously, on Instagram, obviously. And if you have any questions, once again, you can reach me at mike@thesedatedman.com. I appreciate everybody watching and listening, and go out and tear it up. Have a great day.